Get out of here, you poor old hag. Drunk Melissa hurls foul words at me. Despite being at a memorial service surrounded by people, she doesn't care. As I stand there stunned and speechless, Ewan loudly scolds her, Melissa. He forcefully pulls Melissa, trying to take her outside. Watching Melissa resist, I stood there in shock. That's when it happened. Kate, who was beside me, quietly began to speak. My name is Yolanda, 73 years old. I live alone in a house in the countryside. My husband Ashton passed away 2 years ago from a heart attack. It happened so suddenly that I still can't believe he's gone. Many people have been concerned about me over these 2 years as I was in a daze. But what really helped me recover was my home garden. Growing vegetables was something I continued doing even when Ashton was alive. My family originally ran a farm on this land. When my parents passed away, the farm closed, but I still keep a small garden. It's quite enjoyable. Being absorbed in growing vegetables, I felt that the grief of suddenly losing my husband was slightly eased. It's not just that. Delivering the vegetables I grew to my children is also a joy. My eldest son Ewan, and my second son Harry. Even though they are my children, both are already in their 40s. Each has a family of their own. Ewan's family and Harry's family occasionally visit me. During those times, they bring my adorable grandchildren. What makes me happiest is when my grandchildren say the vegetables I grew are delicious and eat plenty of them. Moreover, my second son's wife, Kate, worries about me living alone and always takes care of me. Kate is a very good person. On top of that, she's a great cook. When she stands in the kitchen with me, she quickly and efficiently prepares everything. She's kind to her children, but also properly scolds them when they do something wrong. She has a good balance and is a reassuring presence. I'm always impressed that Harry found such a good wife. In contrast, Ewan's wife, Melissa, is just awful. No, comparing her is an insult to Kate. I've been troubled by Melissa for a long time. From the first time we met, Melissa's attitude was terrible. It was when she came to our house as Ewan's fiancée. She was all smiles when Ewan, Ashton, and I were around, but as soon as Ewan left, she looked around suspiciously. Then she said something rude. So, how old is this house? Ha! Ewan was in elementary school when we built it, so. About 20 years ago? Really? It looks so old. I thought it was built 100 years ago. Melissa said with a laugh, leaving my husband and me bewildered. Ashton was a carpenter, and built this house. We took pride in its traditional style, using wooden materials. At first glance, it might look old, but it's very sturdy. We explained this to her, but Melissa didn't seem to understand. Well, I prefer apartments or more modern homes. I grew up in the city. So a house like this in the countryside feels like it would collapse in a hurricane. Haha. What a rude person, Ashton and I thought, feeling unpleasant inside. After that, Melissa continued making rude comments. By the way, which university did you two graduate? Since Ewan and I went to the same public university, I assume you did too? We didn't go to college. I helped on my parents' farm after high school, and my husband worked as a carpenter. When I answered, Melissa exaggerated her surprise. What? No way. I can't believe it. Her reaction left us bewildered. Apparently, because Ewan attended a prestigious public university, she expected us to have similar educational backgrounds. Ewan studied hard to get into that university because it had the program he wanted to learn, and it would reduce our financial burden. However, times were different for Ewan and us. College enrollment rates were not as high back then, especially for women. Moreover, my family ran a farm. The idea of helping out immediately led me to work after high school. I explained this, but Melissa's mother, who is my age, graduated from a women's college. Melissa's family members are all highly educated. Many of them work as lawyers, doctors, or executives at major companies. But why should we be looked down upon because of that? Melissa's attitude became blatantly condescending. She seemed to think we were poor and living in the countryside because we were uneducated. Ashton was also furious. Ashton and I talked for a while, wondering if Ewan would be alright marrying Melissa. Given her behavior, her true colors would soon show. Worried, I called Ewan. About Melissa, are you sure? When she visited last time, she was quite rude. When I gently mentioned it, Ewan sounded apologetic. Really? To you guys? I'm sorry. Melissa is a bit sheltered, and I've been trying to correct her, but it's tough. I understand, but marriage is a long journey. If it's like this now. I know, but actually. Ewan hesitated. It turns out Melissa was already pregnant. Ewan asked us to be patient, saying he would try to make her understand for the sake of the baby. Indeed, if they were expecting a child, separating them would be harsh. I told Ashton about it, and we concluded there was no choice. So, they got married. We hoped Melissa's attitude would change with the baby's arrival. Ashton and I discussed this, but things didn't settle. Time passed, and our granddaughter, Anna, was born. She was adorable, and Ashton and I were delighted. However, Melissa didn't like us touching Anna. Mom, Dad, you were gardening earlier, right? If Anna gets germs, it'll be terrible. Please wash your hands thoroughly. We were treated like germs. Hey, Melissa. How can you say that? Oh, it's true. The soil has many germs. Anna is a baby with a weak immune system. You may be fine, but if Anna catches something, it could be serious. Melissa argued stubbornly with Ewan, who tried to intervene. By then, Melissa no longer hid her attitude towards us, even in front of Ewan. This often led to fights between Ewan and Melissa, and we were fed up with hearing about it. Melissa seemed to dislike the countryside. So we told Ewan it would be better if you guys didn't visit often. Since then, Melissa only rarely came to our house. And naturally, so did Anna. I didn't mind not seeing Melissa, but it saddened me not to see Anna. However, it seemed they decided to visit around the new year. Apparently, Anna and Kate's children get along well, and they often say, "I want to see Anna." Since my house is midway between Ewan's and Harry's, it's easier for them to visit during events, rather than making special trips. So, Melissa and Anna came over, around New Year's. However, Melissa's attitude hadn't changed. This house hasn't collapsed yet? Ashton and I were annoyed. Of course not, it's well built and won't collapse so easily. When I retorted, Melissa scoffed and walked away. Sensing the awkward atmosphere, Kate cautiously asked, is something wrong? Did something happen? Unlike Kate, who visits often, Melissa rarely shows up. It was understandable that Kate didn't know much about her. We tried not to talk in detail to avoid causing concern. But Melissa's attitude towards us must have seemed strange. Oh, it's nothing. She's just in a bad mood. Don't worry about it, Kate. I tried to brush it off so as not to worry her. In a house that is usually quiet with just the two of us, having people gather brings all sorts of things. Lively conversations and grandchildren running around. In the city, this might draw complaints from neighbors, but here in the countryside, our neighbors are far enough away. Our city-dwelling grandchildren can play freely. At that moment, Melissa suddenly appeared and called out to Anna. Anna, we're leaving now. What? We just got here. I want to play more. Anna protested, but Melissa was unmoved. It's going to rain tonight. Staying in this rundown house will be a disaster. What? What an outrageous thing to say. I just explained that the house is sturdy. Well, we'll be going then. Melissa forcibly grabbed Anna's hand and started to leave. It was pitiful. But anything outsiders said wouldn't make a difference. By this time, Ewan seemed to have resigned himself to Melissa's behavior. He calmly prepared to leave. In a last-ditch effort, I quickly packed some freshly harvested vegetables for Anna. If you like, eat these vegetables at home. They're fresh and delicious. Wow. Anna eagerly reached out, but Melissa stopped her. Mother. I can't trust vegetables that aren't from an organic supermarket. Don't give her strange things. Strange things. Ignoring my words, Melissa dragged Anna out the door. As I stood there speechless, Ewan murmured apologetically, "I'm sorry, Mom." And then Ewan's family left. I was in shock. I couldn't believe how unreasonable she was. Ewan later told me that Melissa was bad-mouthing me to Anna. Melissa, having grown up in the city and attended a top university, often said she wanted to raise Anna the same way. "Don't get close to the countryside like Grandma, or you'll end up poor and uneducated." That was Melissa's constant refrain. When she insulted his mother, Ewan would retort. But this only led to constant arguments and a cold atmosphere at home. I sighed. I didn't care about myself anymore, but I felt sorry for Anna. I wanted to help her somehow. But I couldn't interfere in their marriage, so Ashton and I were at a loss. As time passed, Ashton passed away. I was engulfed in sorrow, but had to prepare for the funeral. Busy dealing with the funeral home and guests, Melissa appeared. I was too busy to have a proper conversation. But I'll never forget Melissa's disrespectful comment about Ashton. "Wow, a lot of guests, huh? Must be a gathering of poor folks." I couldn't help but raise my voice. "What are you talking about?" Many people attended the funeral. Ashton was a wonderful person. Relatives, friends, and carpenter colleagues all admired Ashton. Everyone mourned his death, many with tears. Calling it a gathering of poor folks was too much. I couldn't tolerate it anymore. "Do you enjoy mocking people all the time? Can't you be quiet, at least today?" I finally yelled. But Melissa replied coolly, "I didn't mean to mock anyone. But if it sounded that way, I'm sorry. I'm just being honest." Was that supposed to be an apology? Her unapologetic tone made my head spin. To cool my head, I stepped outside for a deep breath. I was done. I vowed never to associate with Melissa again. And for a while, we didn't see each other. A year later. Today marks 1 year since Ashton passed. Time flies. Despite the lingering summer heat, I hurried to the venue. With many relatives gathered, we rented a large venue for a meal. Inside, I greeted Harry's family, who arrived early. Kate was quick and efficient, which was a big help. Then, Ewan's family arrived. It had been a year since we last saw each other. A cold atmosphere surrounded them. Anna seemed a bit taller, but her anxious expression worried me. Melissa also looked stern. I thought she might find an excuse not to come, but surprisingly, she showed up. While Melissa stepped away, I spoke to Ewan. "Why did Melissa come? What changed?" I asked her to come. "I'm sharing family memories in the opening speech today, hoping Melissa will understand more about Dad and you." "I see. That's thoughtful, but will Melissa change?" "I don't know. But I'll give it a try. If it doesn't work, then..." Ewan trailed off, looking down just as Melissa returned. She sat down without even looking at me. I doubted she would ever understand us, but I decided to keep quiet out of respect for Ewan's resolve. The memorial service started promptly. During his speech, Ewan shared family memories. He talked about his kind father. Memories of being carried on his shoulders as a child. The house Ashton built. The vegetables we all ate that we grew together. Tears streamed down my face before I knew it. Looking around, everyone else was crying too. Anna also seemed to be holding back tears. Among them, only Melissa sat calmly drinking. I had a bad feeling. After Ewan's speech, while everyone talked about Ashton, Melissa looked obviously bored. Ewan's plan had failed. Listening to stories about Ashton didn't affect her at all. How could someone be so heartless? Fed up, I said. "Melissa, you must be bored. Why don't you go home?" Melissa glared at me. "What? I came here for the free booze and fancy food. I haven't eaten yet, so I'm not leaving." I was speechless at her words. Is this what it feels like to be at a loss for words? Melissa continued her tirade. "Aren't you living on a pension? You should enjoy the fancy food now. You usually only eat those pitiful vegetables. Melissa. How can you say that? Leave now. Ewan shouted desperately. But, perhaps due to the alcohol, Melissa didn't stop. Why should I leave? It's your mother who should go. Poor old hags like her don't belong here. Melissa hurled insults at me with foul language. The room fell silent. As I stood there, stunned and speechless, Ewan yelled, "Melissa." He tried to drag her outside. Watching Melissa resist, I was in shock. Then, Kate spoke up. "Melissa, don't you know?" Melissa responded with a puzzled, "Ha," to Kate's strained voice. "Mother is neither poor nor lowly." "What are you talking about?" "She's been scraping by on a small pension since Dad died." Melissa shrieked, while Kate sighed. "Mother owns all the land around here." "What?" Kate calmly explained. "Yes, I had inherited my parents' farmland. The land was quite extensive. Since farming wasn't very profitable, I had more land than I could use. I reserved a small area for growing vegetables, and left most of the land as vacant lots. And I rented out to a logistics company. Now, it's used as a warehouse for materials, providing me with a steady income. It's a decent amount." Hearing this, Melissa's face twisted in disgust. "Yolanda probably has more assets than a stay-at-home wife like you. My parents often expressed their gratitude for my help on the farm." "Thank you, Yolanda. The only thing we can give you is this land. It might be useful someday, even if it's just countryside land. My parents have long since passed, but I am truly grateful to them." "That can't be. Don't lie to me." Melissa screamed in confusion. Louder than her, Ewan shouted. "Enough already." Melissa flinched. Taking advantage of this moment, Ewan pulled Melissa outside the venue. Immediately, relatives began asking, "Are you okay? What happened to Melissa? Did she drink too much?" I was busy trying to calm everyone down. When I took a breath, I noticed Anna sitting alone. "Anna, I'm sorry you had to see that." "No. I'm sorry my mom said such terrible things to you, Grandma." Despite being hurt by the chaos, Anna still showed concern for me. Why does such a kind grandchild have to be caught up in this? Feeling helpless, I saw Anna look at me with determination. "Grandma, I have something to say to my mom. Can you come with me to see them?" I hesitated, not wanting Anna to witness more of Melissa's behavior. But seeing the resolve in Anna's eyes, I agreed. "All right." I took Anna outside the venue. In the parking lot, Ewan was glaring at Melissa with an anger I'd never seen before. "Please reconsider. I beg you." Melissa, now timid, spoke in a quivering voice. "I've told you many times before. If you insult my parents again, it's over. How many times have you disrespected them?" Ewan shouted, and Melissa mumbled. Ewan later told me that he had been discussing divorce with Melissa for quite some time. But Melissa refused to agree, using Anna as a shield, claiming it wouldn't be good for her. Using Anna like that is despicable. In retrospect, Melissa's attacks on me worsened around the time Ewan started talking about divorce. It seemed like she was taking out her frustrations on me, a childish behavior. Despite her education, she lacked something fundamental as a human being. Melissa continued to make excuses. "I told you, I don't want Anna to end up like your parents. I want her to get a proper education and work in a big city company. Not in this countryside. That's what's best for Anna." Melissa's voice trembled as she said this. Anna slowly approached her. "Mom. Anna. You agree with me, right?" Melissa clung to Anna. Anna glanced at her mother coldly and said, as if spitting out the words, "Mom, you embarrass me." "Anna. How can you say that? I'm doing this for you. Don't blame me. You just don't want to give up being a housewife. This isn't for me at all." Anna's resolute face looked so grown up. "I'm tired of it. Your behavior is awful, Mom. You always say terrible things to Grandma and Grandpa, and you never listen to me. I can't stand it anymore. I asked Dad to get a divorce. Melissa looked stunned, unable to speak at Anna's sharp words. Anna continued. I love Grandma and Grandpa. I love the vegetables they grow. Even though I haven't been able to eat them lately because of you. I have a dream. You know. I want to grow vegetables like Grandma. I want to learn how to make them delicious and support farmers. I was taken aback by Anna's words. Melissa was even more shocked, looking bewildered. What are you saying? I don't want to become a cold, unfeeling person like you, Mom. Anna's words seemed to hit Melissa hard. She trembled in shock. Ewan seized the moment. Anna is saying so too. Melissa, I want you out today. I'll send the divorce papers to your parents' house later. No. Tears flowed from Melissa's eyes. It's too late for tears. I stood before her. Melissa, your education might be impressive, but you lack any compassion. This is all your fault. We probably won't see each other again. But try to become a decent person. Goodbye. Whether my words reached her or not, Melissa kept her head down, crying and groaning. I had said everything I needed to say. I was done with her. Let's go, Mom. Anna. We returned to the venue, urged by Ewan. Melissa never returned. Later, Ewan told me that Melissa left silently, utterly defeated. Ewan sent the divorce papers to her parents' house. He expected resistance, but surprisingly, the signed papers were returned quickly. Anna's words must have really hit her hard. Anyway, Ewan and Melissa's divorce was finalized without trouble. Peaceful days followed. One day, I received an unexpected call from the logistics company renting my land. Is this Yolanda? A thief broke into the warehouse earlier, and our employees caught the thief trying to steal materials. A thief? Yes. The thief kept shouting that it was all your fault. With a bad feeling, I rushed to the warehouse. There, I saw scattered materials and a woman surrounded by employees. Melissa. I was shocked. Her hair was disheveled, and she was in a dirty sweatshirt, but it was definitely Melissa. She used to be so put together, it was hard to believe. Upon seeing me, Melissa started screaming. It's your fault. It's your fault that I got divorced. Take responsibility. What are you talking about? Her accusations left me more baffled than surprised. Melissa, in broken cries, accused me of inciting Ewan and Anna to divorce her. That's absurd. How could she still not understand it's her own fault? Mistaken and vengeful, Melissa had apparently decided to get revenge on me. She planned to steal materials from the company I rent to, and place them in front of my house, framing me for theft. It was a horrifyingly obsessive act. The thought of having such a person in the family sent shivers down my spine. Thinking it might be futile, I spoke up anyway. Calm down, Melissa. I didn't incite them. Ewan and Anna reached their limit with your behavior. Wake up, this is a crime. Shut up. It's all your fault. Melissa's expression was menacing. She wasn't listening to me at all. She looked like she might pounce on me any second. Several strong employees restrained her. Let go of me. I'll make sure you go to hell. Flailing her arms and legs, Melissa screamed, glaring at me. She was no longer the Melissa I knew. I couldn't find any words to say to her. As the commotion continued, the police arrived, called by the employees. They took Melissa away as she continued to scream. Melissa was arrested for trespassing and theft. I couldn't believe how much a person could change. No, Melissa had always been this way. Her true nature had simply been revealed over time. Ewan and I were outsiders, so it was somewhat bearable. But Anna would likely be hurt by the fact that her mother was arrested. All I could do was support Anna emotionally. That was all I could offer. Melissa was later released. She had to pay a fine for the damaged materials she tried to steal. Melissa, who had been a housewife, had no money. Since each piece of material was expensive, she had to borrow money from somewhere to pay for it, and now she's struggling with debt. No one knew where she was living. After the divorce, Melissa stayed at her parents' house for a while, but they disowned her after the arrest. It seems her family, like Melissa, cared a lot about appearances, so they kicked her out. Melissa's once proud family turned their backs on her. How ironic. Just as Melissa said, her elite family members were cold to those who strayed from the right path. Melissa lost her family, relatives, husband, and child. This was the fate of someone lacking compassion. As for me, I was living peacefully. Anna, who I had worried about, had completely recovered. She now aspired to enter the agricultural department in college. She spoke enthusiastically about wanting to support farmers. With Melissa gone, Anna and Ewan often visited my house. We grew vegetables together, researched feed, and sometimes cooked the harvested vegetables together. Though Anna was down when she heard about Melissa's arrest, she seemed to have regained her energy. "Grandma, don't worry. I have dreams to pursue, and I can work hard for them." Hearing Anna's determined words, I marveled at how much she had grown. I was genuinely relieved that she didn't resemble Melissa at all. Harry's family continued to support me as well. Kate, especially, was very concerned about me after hearing about Melissa's theft incident. "Please let me know if you ever need anything," she said, offering her help. Without Kate, I would have been worn out from Melissa's repeated disturbances and remained in despair. In times like these, I realized something. More than education or anything else, having someone who stands by you is what truly matters. With even one kind-hearted person by your side, you can live strongly. Today, I smile at Ashton's portrait. Though I miss him, I have many people who care about me. Surrounded by wonderful people, I am indeed spending a happy old age.